Otakuology podcast with Otaku Mike and Jin Graves.
Hey guys, Jin here, back with another episode of the Otakuology podcast. As always, my awesome co-host, Otaku Mike, and today we have a special guest for you, a special interview for you, Robert from Dad Needs to Talk.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm glad to be here. Glad y'all have me on.
Right, glad for you to be here.
Yeah, you have been one that I've been wanting to get on our podcast for quite some time. Ever since I found you. I don't remember how I found you.
Mm-hmm.
I think it might have been from Weeb Daddy, but I'm not for sure.
Oh, yes.
Maybe?
That is definitely that's the case because I remember he had reshared something of mine. Might have been even like one of like my first YouTube videos I did. And then I definitely remember you follow me and several others. So yeah.
I always love seeing another like parent who is in like the manga anime community. I always think it's cool, and I always got to follow them and support them because we're all old, you know, and
This is true.
social media is definitely a young man's game.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
But please introduce yourself, and how did you exactly get started with your podcast? We'll start with that as well for the first question.
Yeah, so as far as me, who I am, my name is Robert, host of Dad Needs to Talk, both a podcast and a YouTube channel where I talk about fatherhood, manga, anime, sometimes video games. Video games has kind of fallen off a lot just because I've gotten so deep into manga in the last year or whatever. But I still love my games. But yeah, as my show is called, Dad Needs to Talk. I am a father of 5, 3 boys, twin girls.
Ooh.
So, as you imagine, my days and weeks are pretty busy because my oldest 4 all do sports. 2 of them are in basketball, 2 of them in track. So it's always a practice or a tournament or something going on. And fun little fact, just for the listeners, my youngest son is actually named Vash after Vash the Stampede from Trigun. So that is a weeb parent fact I love to always toss out.
Going into that, because that's actually related to one of my questions.
Yeah.
Is his middle name the Humanoid Typhoon?
Oh my god.
No, sadly not.
There's not enough room on the birth certificate.
I did go through like a whole host of like other potential anime names for him because honestly at one point because I'm also a big fan of Full Metal Alchemist. And so I was thinking about maybe trying to do like Vash Elric or something like that. But I was like, you know what? I was like, just on the off chance that maybe my son grows up and he doesn't want to be part of anime, he wants to throw that legacy away. I'll give him a scapegoat. I give him a normal middle name.
Okay.
Because his middle name is Corbin, so Vash Corbin. So it's like, you know what? Maybe when he gets older, if he doesn't like it, here's your other option.
That just sounds cool. What's your name? Vash Corbin. That sounds like an 80s an 80s action movie star.
Yes.
So like the next Luke Cage.
So was your wife down with naming your child after an anime character?
Yep.
Yeah,
I am very fortunate to where my wife is also a big nerd
cool.
me. So because honestly that is how I think her being a nerd is like what really kind of maybe be like, yep, that's the woman for me. Because one of our first dates we went on, we were going to see a movie, but we got there super early, so we had some time to kill. And so there was a comic book store nearby. I was like, hey, would you mind if we go? And she was, oh yeah, sure. So, we're in looking around and stuff, whatever. All of a sudden I hear like a slight, like excited shriek. And I'm like, oh, what's up? What's going on? What you find? And she was looking at some, they had like a section with some Sailor Moon stuff. And I was like, oh, you like Sailor Moon? She's like, yes, I love, Sailor Moon. And she started naming some other stuff, whatever. And it was like, at that moment, I'm like, she might be the one. But but yeah, man, yeah, it she always kind of knew for a while that I wanted to have a anime name for my kid. We actually there was a brief window of time where he was almost named or potentially could have been named Jiren from Dragon Ball Super.
Yeah.
Because of the month right before Vash was born was the Goku versus Jiren fight in Dragon Ball Super. And I'll never forget my for the longest time, my wife used to, get on me and make jokes and poke fun of me because every Saturday night I'm in front of the TV, hyped about Dragon Ball, and she's like, yeah, it is that time of Saturday night you in Dragon Ball. But then she started watching it, and then more and more she would be looking over my TV, and then before I knew it, she would be sitting next to me and we're watching Dragon Ball together. And she got so hyped from the fights where she was kind of like, what if we name him Jiren? And I'm like, no.
That's not a bad name.
Not a bad name.
It's not a bad name. That's a cool name.
But if there can only be one anime name, it's going to be Vash. Because I've had that in my mind for years, even before I met her. So, but in some alternative world, it might have happened. Because as I said, we have twin daughters. There was a possibility that Vash might have been a twin, and that would have been cool to have twins named Vash and Jiren. Ooh. But anyway, sorry, I went on a whole side tangent.
Oh no, you got it.
No, it's cool.
He could have almost been named Vash Jiren,
Yep, that was also another potential combination too. Right. So
yeah.
but to your other question about me starting the podcast and stuff. Yeah, so pretty much almost a year ago, because I started my podcast middle of March 2021, and the without getting too deep into it, because it's don't want to get.
I mean, I know the backstory, but for the people,
But so
you don't have to get too deep into it.
I'll just cover it just surface level, just to give some context for the listeners. So from pretty much like the last year, or like the last 6 months before I started podcasting, so basically fall of 2020 through spring of 2021, I lost my older sister had passed away, and up in there, close to me, but more on my wife's side. My wife's grandfather passed before Christmas, and then my mother passed January of 2021. So it was like I lost my sister, father-in-law, and then my mom. And so, of course, and then if just other life stuff going on. And so, of course, that's a lot, to happen in a short period of time. So, I was just kind of just really deep and down in sadness and despair and grief, to be honest. And so I kind of had this moment to where I kind of just thought one day, I was like, you know what? I need to do something other than just, because I know how I am. I'm like, if I just sit here, or, sometimes when you're just sitting around, your mind wanders.
Oh, yes.
Then my mind starts wandering into, thinking about my mom and my sister and sad feelings and all that stuff. And so I was like, okay, I need something to put my time and my energy and attention towards. And so I was like, so I started thinking about podcasting. Now, doing a podcast and stuff, that's something that has crossed my mind a few times over the years, but I, just never pulled the trigger on it. And so in that moment, I was like, you know what? If there's any time to try, I'm gonna try it now. So did a little bit of research, as far as options and stuff.
Yeah.
And luckily, so my normal day job, I work in the IT field. So tech and stuff, whatever, that's my normal day to day.
Yeah.
So, I researched, looked into different stuff, whatever. And of course, I've been a consumer of podcasts for over 10 years myself.
Yeah.
And so, you're always hearing different advertisements for, Anchor or, WordPress, Squarespace, you hear all these different terms.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, let me start looking into some of this stuff. And so I ended up, going with Anchor and setting up a little account. And at the time when I started off, I had just used, I was only using my phone. I have just my phone, a little, a like little phone holder thing that my wife had. And I bought like a little like $10-$20 pop filter off of Amazon.
Yeah.
And I recorded episode 0, just kind of, explaining who I am and what this was. And that is where this journey began. And the fact that I am here almost a year later, podcasting with you guys and having worked and collaborated with so many other awesome people in this year is definitely well beyond anything I imagined when I started. Because honestly, when I first got into it, I'm thinking like, okay, it'll probably be like a year or two before I even collaborate with somebody. Because my perception is like, okay, in order for somebody to want to have you on your show, you got to basically have a resume like, oh, okay, you've been podcasting or being a content creator for X amount of time, sure, come on. But people in the community were just like so open and welcoming. And because who was it? It was Kendra, who is the host of the My Hero Academia podcast. I've been listening to them for years, and I just made just a comment, no real intentions behind it, just like, hey, it'd be cool if someday in the future, and by future I literally meant like a year plus, it'd be cool to be on y'all show someday. And then like within that day or whatever, she messaged me. She was like, hey, I checked out your stuff, you seem cool, you want to come on the podcast? And at this point I hadn't even been doing it for a full month. And that kind of gave me that first kind of encouragement of like, okay, maybe this doesn't have to be a put years in to meet people and make friends and stuff. So but yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I mean most totally. I mean, like when we started, like we had, I personally had like the a real reservation behind it, to where like I was like, do we ask people? Should we ask people to come on? Like what should we do? Because we, like, as well as you, we just started. I think we started like towards the end of February, so we're about like around the same age podcast as you are. Like we've only been doing it for a year,
We're rubbing elbows.
Yeah, rubbing elbows, and like it's kind of like there's all these so many established creators out there already. Like, it's almost like a fear of rejection, almost like you're not good enough. But in reality, we're just as good as everybody else, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, you saying that made me think about like one of the pep talks that I gave you before we did our episode 50 or whatever, which is the last one on cyberbullying. And we were talking about some stuff like that, and I was like, oh, I said, well, you know what? By the time we get an interview, if somebody's going to be upset about it or whatever, we'll already have 5 more people that we will have found to do interviews with. And we'll have good people come out of it and good friends, and we'll move forward from there. And I was like, so I don't really look at like, hey, that was something that could happen and it's in the past, because you got to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
So
keep moving forward, be creative, and spread positivity. That's my motto.
Yeah, exactly.
With that. But yeah, Jen, go ahead, ask your next question. We'll do round robin on this one.
Oh man. So one of my questions is it always seems like, where do you find the time at whenever you're going to podcasts?
Oh man, every time I turn around, you're putting out a new podcast.
Yeah, man. So sometimes I am even amazed at myself at the amount of stuff I be pumping out, given, like I said, 5 kids and sports and work and just living
Yeah,
life.
yeah.
Right.
I honestly, a lot of it is a mix of kind of doing it just whenever I have time or find a window of opportunity, as well as having a awesome wife who understands, what I'm doing and that I love doing this. So, we'll kind of coordinate on stuff to where it's like, okay, hey, I really would like to do this podcast, or whether it be something I'm doing on my own, or hey, somebody wants me to be a guest on their stuff,
Yeah.
and we'll kind of coordinate because most of like the family schedule stuff I leave up to her. So she keeps track of who has a game, a practice, a tournament, yada yada yada, and then I just kind of check in with her like, hey, all right, somebody wants me to podcast with them on Saturday at X time. What do we have going on, so that if it's something either I need to move what I'm doing around, or she'll take whoever to do that. So it's just kind of a balance of like, okay, you know what, since you're gonna be taking so and so to this thing while I'm podcasting, well then I'll take, somebody else either, for the next thing or the thing leading up to it. So yeah, man, it's just a lot of just coordination and stuff. Sometimes it's some late nights. I've tried to get away from doing that as much, just because I try to, set boundaries for myself, because most days, at least when it comes to like my normal podcast, because like I said, I go for a long time
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Like my general rule is, if I'm not already recording by 11 p.m., at least for sure on a weekday where work and stuff is involved, if I'm not already recording by the time it's 11 p.m., then it's gonna have to wait until
Yeah.
the next day, just because there was so many times to where, I would start recording late at night, and with me recording late, I'll be up till almost like 1 a.m.
Ooh, yeah.
just recording. And that's not even, if I want to try to edit something or whatever,
Right.
but and the other kind of benefit I have is that my job is pretty chill for the most part. Like I don't have like, cause like our manager, he only comes in the office like once a week. And even then, like our core team in the office is like maybe 5 people. And
Yeah.
then there's like a couple of uh accounting ladies that are there like a few days a week, and they work from home the other days. So I kind of also have a little bit of flexibility to where I can also work on some stuff while I'm at work, as far as like editing and timestamps, like small stuff like that. Because generally for me, as long as I can get it uploaded to the internet, before I leave the house, whether it be the night before or right before I leave for work in the morning, then I can kind of do what I need to do from my desk. I'm like, okay, I check and make sure, okay, is it up on YouTube? At least like load it up. Is it loaded up on Anchor? Cool. Now I have free reign to kind of, chip away at it while I'm working. But yeah, that's honestly what it is. It's just me just getting it in where I fit in, so to speak. But yeah, it is kind of wild. Like I said, yeah, just looking at the amount of stuff on the amount of videos I put out on YouTube and the amount of episodes on my podcast feed, and I'm not even at a year yet. And so,
right.
Yeah. So when it comes to your podcast, most of it, I know some of it, you've had other people come on, and you had your kids come on at one point, right?
Yeah. I've had them on a couple of things.
Yeah.
Like we did like a little like a family review for what was it, the Mitchells versus the Machines
Oh
movie.
yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun one
That
that
was a fun one.
that they wanted to do with me.
Yeah.
And then there was even another one where I think my daughter that does track, I think she wanted to come on and talk about some stuff. So yeah, and like I said, Vash always, he will pop up at the unknown time, so he's always a surprise guest.
But how do you which I've struggled with this on podcasts that I've done by myself.
Mhm.
How do you how do you do it by yourself?
I'm
How do you keep the
yeah.
conversation going with yourself? I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I guess.
I know that's a weird
Oh
question.
no, you're
I just had
fine.
to think
I'll just.
about this because you and I just had a conversation about this yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just a mix between. I guess for so many years, I aside from talking about stuff online as far as like on like Facebook
Mhm.
posts and Twitter threads or whatever, a lot of these conversations or different conversations, it's like stuff that I've like internally had over the years
Yeah.
as far as like, oh man, I'm really excited about XYZ. And so I think just doing that for so many years
Mhm.
and not constantly being surrounded by people to talk to. Of course, my wife will always entertain me wanting to ramble about something I watched or read or whatever.
Mhm.
Some of it she'll understand. Some of it she's just like whatever. I'm just listening. So yeah. So I don't know. It's just kind of I guess just a natural thing. It's just
Mhm.
the best way I can kind of put it because
Okay.
because there's several podcasts I listen to that have a cast of people, whether it be a duo like y'all or
Mhm.
three people or whatever.
Mhm.
And I even know I hear some of them mention from time to time, like if they've interviewed somebody that's a solo podcast or whatever, being like, man, how do you do it? I need somebody to bounce off of. Yeah, like I said, I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Well, and I mean that's what we talked about yesterday. We had a thing because
mm-hmm,
Mike's like, you really do a bunch of our like little side thingies by yourself, and I'm like, yeah. And I've gotten to the point where like if I'm not doing that, I'm going stir
mm-hmm.
crazy. Like I have to record shows, and
Yeah,
and and I found that it's almost like you're your best friend. You got to entertain yourself. So
yeah,
I'll
and,
find
and
myself sitting there sometimes cracking up, and I'm like, why am I cracking up at my own joke? Like it's stupid.
yes, exactly. But yeah, but and I guess it's also in a way kind of like for me, kind of like therapeutic, just because it's
Mhm.
like, hey, I'm excited about this thing. Hey, I'm recording it. Because that was always kind of like my thing when I started was that hey, I am first and foremost doing this for myself,
Mhm.
and so just the fact that people have listened and continue to listen, is just a very awesome bonus on top of this because, it still kind of, surprises me pretty often whenever, somebody will uh tweet at me and be like, yo, just listen to the new episode of Danny's to Talk, enjoyed what you had to say about XYZ. Or if I post about like, hey, I just picked up this new volume of whatever,
Uh-huh.
and somebody commenting like, hey, I can't wait to listen and hear your thoughts. And I'm like, because there's some people that you just follow,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but the fact that like, oh, you follow me, but you also listen to my stuff is like, oh, okay, I didn't even know that that you were tuned in and listening. So that's
Yeah.
kind of been just like a added bonus because I did kind of have those thoughts from time to time of like, man, like, you know how does this sound from the other
Yeah.
side, people just hearing this one guy talking by himself about a series or whatever. But I'm guessing I'm doing okay enough to where people keep coming back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And stuff. So and I'm kind of seeing the a steady growth as far as like, okay, not necessarily they're like, hey, it's all about numbers,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we all check, we all
Yeah.
look every now and then. And so kind of just seeing from the beginning where it was like, hey, okay, there's consistently at least 3 to 5 people
Yeah.
listening to now. It's like I'll uh hit publish and they'll go out,
Mhm.
and I don't even I haven't even finished making whatever edits I need to and doing stuff before,
Yeah.
because typically I'll hit publish, let it percolate through all the services, and then I'll go through and update my website with, links for everything, and then that's when I do the social media post. And so the fact that I'm getting more people that are just listening to it before I even post on social media is just like a very humbling thing to see. It's just like, okay, I guess y'all have, y'all were waiting for the new episode, or y'all were waiting to hear somebody talk about, whatever random manga I happen to to talk about and stuff. So, but yeah, it's been a interesting journey going solo, but I enjoy it though.
That's cool. That's definitely cool here, because that's the one thing that I worry about whenever I do something solo is like, am I being entertaining enough? Are people enjoying this?
Yeah.
But in the reality, it's just all in my head, and I'm just doubting myself.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, and then looking through part of your shows or whatever, like we haven't gotten into like video games very much, but I was looking at us like, yeah, I said the funny thing is we actually mesh with you really well because of all the different stuff we like to cover, and I was like, Dad likes to talk about all that stuff too.
Yes. Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, the me and video games, that is, I would say I've had a love for video games probably longer than I have with anime and manga for sure. And so that's why I say, it's like, even though I don't really get to talk about it as much, at least like in this last year or whatever, as I normally would, it is still something that I constantly at least, keep up with. And I still play stuff even if I might not talk about it all the time. But yeah, games is a big part of my life, big part of my family's life, because right now all my kids are in their different rooms playing stuff right now. So, it's just ingrained in our family as a whole, which I'm glad, because, once again, just like my wife being understanding about I need to record or I want to watch whatever anime or read a manga, she's also understandable when it comes to games, because she knows, okay, I get a big game I've been waiting for. I want to have some time to play it. Same thing with her. She gets a new big game she wants to play, and we'll kind of give each other space, or what, hey, you enjoyed your game, I'll take care of dinner, whatever. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Are there any big games that you're looking forward to?
Oh yes. I'm the handful off the top of my head. Pokemon Legends, which is coming up in a couple of weeks. Horizon Forbidden West, that's dropping next month, and God of War Ragnarok.
Oh yeah,
that is definitely a very big one.
I'm so excited for that one.
Yes, because it's kind of funny with God of War, because I was always a fan of the series of the older games, but with the last one that came out in 2018, I have such an even stronger connection with that. Not only just because of how great that game was, but that game came out when I think Vash might have been about 6 months old at that point. And so having a game about Kratos going on a journey with his son, as I'm sitting there with my son next to me, just kind of made that extra special, bond and connection.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I had the same thing when I played that game. I was like, it's like, how you say it? Like, I don't know. There's a weird connection because, I don't know how to explain it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But that just made it that much more special, and the fact that it's been a few years, handful of years at this point since that came out, and of course my son has gotten older, but also Kratos' son in the game also got a little bit older too, and so it just kind of just like a cool duality of real life and and video games and stuff, whatever. So
Yeah, my wife is really looking forward to the new Horizon game.
yes.
She recently got it, or I got it for her for Christmas, and
Hmm.
she just 100%ed the game.
Yes.
Like she's been
Yes.
all about that, and she's like, I gotta get the next one.
Yes, yeah, that game is so awesome. Even just the basic, I'll call it basic primal
Yeah,
uh feeling of just being interested in freaking not only dinosaurs
robot
but robot
dinosaurs.
dinosaurs. It's like how could you not at least like how could that not at least like pique your interest?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember she was playing it. She called me into the other room. She's like, "Hey, is this game take place in the future?" She started seeing like all
Yep.
the buildings and like the street signs and stuff, and I was like, "Well,
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
well, yeah, that's cool."
Yeah, those are that and the Pokemon one are on my list as well.
Yes. Yes.
So have you ever had to buy multiple of the same consoles at all?
Yes. Yes. We because I always kind of laugh, especially and more so like with like some of like my buddies and friends from growing up, because growing up I primarily not counting Nintendo because I always had like a Game Boy and stuff
Mm-hmm.
growing up, but as far as like console, I had always kind of had a PlayStation, at least like from the time I was a teen
Yeah,
to
Same,
now.
same.
But
same.
my my wife was more of the Xbox person, and so but now between my wife and kids, we have 5 Xboxes in the house.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, because some of it was kind of a hand down as stuff got upgraded because my wife, I had got her the Xbox One when that came out,
Mm-hmm.
but then like a couple years passed and I upgraded her to the One X. So of
Mm-hmm.
course when that happened, I gave her console to one of the kids,
Mm-hmm.
and then last year I got her a Series S. So she got that. I got her One X. And then just over the years, like my wife's grandparents got our oldest his own. Somebody else got one of the other kids their own, and
Yeah.
so that's kind of how that ended up happening. But yeah, there's definitely been some multiple purchasing of some stuff. But luckily, the one cool thing I will say about with the Xbox and stuff for my kids is that I can just get them the uh Game Pass
Yeah.
subscription, and so through that subscription they all can play certain games together or whatever. Or luckily a lot of the games that most of my kids are into are free, so like
Mm-hmm.
Fortnite and Roblox. So
Yep.
hey, no money out of my pocket until they ask for V-Bucks and all that
Oh yeah,
jazz.
yeah,
but
yeah.
but that that type of stuff is more like a, all right, it's your birthday or a present or some type of reward. I'm definitely not a, hey, every time you ask for it, you're gonna get it. Like, no, you gotta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it,
work for
Right.
it.
it's too many of y'all.
Yeah,
y'all gotta work and earn this. So
you gotta go broke with those V-Bucks.
yes,
Oh my
yes,
god.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, because that's been one thing, like me becoming a parent, that's kind of that I've been kind of like having to adjust to, because me growing up, I'm the youngest of 3 siblings, but I was the youngest by a huge gap.
Mm-hmm.
So so it was 13 years between me and my sister and 16 years between me and my
Whew.
brother. So pretty much like by the time I'm like walking and talking, my brother's out the house.
Yeah.
And then my sister, by the time I wasn't even a teenager yet. I think I was like 7 or 8 when she got married and started having kids and stuff. So, so
Yeah.
I'm technically I'm closer in age to some of my nieces and nephews, than my siblings. But me saying that, growing up, I kind of grew up like an only child.
Yeah.
In some sense. So, there was no me having to fight with somebody about, oh, I want to watch TV or I want to play the game. If I wanted to do it, I just do it because nobody else is in the house. But here it's like me having to juggle and delegate. Nope, be nice, share, all this type of stuff. It's kind of like been like a different a different perspective for me, because I'm like, sometimes I'll be like, why are y'all arguing? This should be so simple. Why are y'all making this so complicated? But then I'm like, okay, well, got 4 or 5 personalities clashing and butting heads and stuff, versus I had nobody to argue with me. So
yeah, I definitely know how that is. My kids are 2 years apart from each other, and they do all that as well.
Yes.
Well, and that's how I was too. My closest sibling was 9 years older than I was. And then after my parents split up and everything, and later on, then my closest sibling on the back end after the remarry is 11 years away from me. So I'm like, I still feel like I'm an only child sometimes.
Oh yeah.
So getting into sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, that was it.
Okay. So getting into your manga collecting, correct me if I'm wrong, you recently got into manga collecting, but you've been reading manga for years now?
Yes, exactly.
What if some of the manga that you've enjoyed so far collecting and reading?
Yeah, hold on 1 second.
All right.
Hold on.
I wonder if Vash made an appearance.
Oh, he made an appearance. It's okay.
Maybe.
It's
I don't know.
A wild Vash has appeared on the podcast.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. Because I knew he was awake because I heard him out lurking, and then he just, because he's 4 whatever, so still learning stuff whatever. But I heard the toilet flush, and I heard little pitter patter feet. So I'm like keep walking, and then I hear knock. I'm like, it's one of those things like a dinosaur. Like if I don't move, maybe he won't come in. But nope, he opened the door. He just like looked at me. I'm like, come here, get you situated. But
it's all good.
Same way. I have a 4-year-old, so I feel the same way. I know what you're talking about. Sometimes I'll go lay down in the bed for a second. I'm like, I need 5 minutes, and I'll throw the blankets on me, and he'll be like, "Daddy, are you in here?" I'm like, just 5 minutes. Don't say anything.
Exactly. But yeah, so sorry. What was the question again?
Oh, sorry. Since you started collecting manga, what if some of the series that you've enjoyed collecting and reading?
Feels like a lot. 2 big ones I'll start off with, because these are the 2 that I actually started my physical collection with. Which actually, let me take a slight backtrack into the whole, me reading it for a while versus actually collecting it. So I've been reading, digitally, primarily through like the Shonen Jump app and stuff, whatever, and other places over the years. And so it's just like majority of the series, or I guess like, growing up and stuff, like a lot of stuff, you're kind of exposed to is like the typical shonen stuff. And so for the most part, it's like, okay, I'm, mainly just reading, One Piece and My Hero and so on and so forth. So that's all I needed. Even though, of course, I knew there was so much more out there, just because I watch a variety of anime too. Well, the thing that kind of made me start physically collecting was 20th Century Boys. So that is a series because maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, I had watched Monster for the first time.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Loved it, fell in love with it. And so, 20th Century Boys being from the same creator. Now, I've heard of the name 20th Century Boys over the years, but like I said before, actually watching Monster, had no clue what type of stuff that author did or whatever. I just know, hey, this is a name I keep hearing or whatever. Yeah. So I had tried a couple times over the years to try to read 20th Century Boys online, but I don't know. It's just like every time I would get maybe like a few pages into that first chapter, I just, felt bored or just, I wasn't engaged with it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? Let me go and buy this or whatever. Cause I found out, that the physical copies are pretty readily, or for the most part, pretty readily available in most of the stores around me. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy it physically because that'll be kind of like a commitment in a sense of like, hey, I spent money on this and it is now physically occupying my space. I need to give it a honest shot. Hey, if I end up reading this one and I don't like it, so be it. But I want to give this an honest shot. So I got that along with I loved Vinland Saga's anime, and that's another. I was okay. There's quite a few books past where the anime went, so did my research as far as okay, what book do I need to get to kind of start past the anime, and so those were my first two: 20th Century Boys Perfect Edition 1 and Vinland Saga. I believe it was book 5. Yes,
that's cool. It's cool as you say, Naoki Urasawa for 20th Century Boys. That's currently occupying my space as well, and I have yet to touch it. Because I really enjoyed Pluto, his work. Pluto.
Oh yeah, I need to check that one out too.
I think I got all of it. And I read it it's like a year ago. Jen, we read it a year or two ago. We read it together.
Yeah, it was about 2 years ago.
Yeah, but if you if you end up liking 20th Century Boys, check out Asadora. That's another work that's coming out of his.
Oh yeah. I see that one every time I go to the store because I like the way those covers and stuff look. So
it's about a little girl who fights a kaiju. Yeah, and it's set in like the 1950s, but then it also progresses throughout the years.
Oh,
it's a really interesting manga that I recommend. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely put that up on my list as I make my way through this ever growing pile I have. But yeah, but besides those two, trying to think some other kind of like notable ones I've really enjoyed have been Die Dark. That's one I enjoy. That's by the same creator as Doro Hidoro.
Yeah.
And so it's just like a really awesome like sci-fi dark fantasy series.
I still don't know what's going on in that book. I read the first volume and I started the second one. I was like, I still don't really know what's going on.
Yeah, I don't either, but I think for me, I think it's just like the look and aesthetic of the world, and just like and like the way their different powers and stuff works. Because the first time he uses the axe and he hits the dude, and like his skin and stuff just melt away. Yeah. It's like, whoa, what is this? I don't know. This is pretty freaky, but I like it.
It was such an odd book.
Yes, but yeah, I've been enjoying that one. Trying to see some other kind of quick ones. Karate Survivor has been kind of like a nice little read for me. That's a isekai about guy gets reincarnated into another world, but the only skill he gets, unlike most isekai where the person ends up being super OP and strong or whatever with broken abilities, the only skill he gets is karate. So he's in this fantasy world fighting monsters and stuff, but he doesn't have no magic or nothing or whatever. He just has his hands and feet. And
Okay, that
it's
actually sounds kind of cool.
yeah, it's the whenever I talk to people about it or whatever, I say like it's not like some big new crazy revolutionary thing, but I just feel like it does what it does well,
I
and
love I love an isekai where people aren't overpowered.
yes, and I think for me, as I kind of get, or as I've been getting a lot of these manga and stuff, I think like Karate Survivor, for example,
Uh-huh.
I read that in one shot. Like I
Uh-huh.
got it, opened it up, started reading. I'm like, okay, let me see what this is. And before I knew it, it was over. And
Yeah.
so it was like, okay, that was the first one. So I went and picked up the second one when that came out. And
Mhm.
same thing, I read it, boom, done in a heartbeat. And so for me, if a series has me hooked enough to where I'm just like blazing through it,
Mhm.
then that's a sign that like, okay, there's at least something interesting enough here to make me want to continue to buy them. So
Yeah.
so yeah, so but yeah, that's like a couple
That's
of
cool.
ones that I've liked and enjoyed, and
Yeah.
just getting into the space of collecting. It's also exposed me to so many other things because prime example, Karate Survivor.
Mhm.
If I wasn't physically collecting this stuff to where I am going out into the stores and looking around and shopping around, I never would have known anything about that series because most of the gets posted online is you're until you follow a variety of people
Mhm.
in general. You're gonna see the same, Shonen Jump series and maybe a couple other ones here and there,
Right.
but unless you're following, like the circle that we're kind of in, where we're following other people that talk manga and stuff a lot. So
Mhm.
even if I wasn't going out shopping now, I would still get exposed to a bunch of stuff from just seeing all
Yeah.
everybody's posts and stuff in the community. But yeah, going out, because I'll go into the store maybe with a certain series in mind, like okay, I'm here to buy, the next 20th Century Boys or whatever. But
Mhm.
I always take my time, browse around, and it could be just the cover of it gets my attention, or the name of it, because Karate Survivor is like, what is that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, but yeah, and that's kind of exposed me to so many cool and awesome and unknown series.
Yeah.
Right. And that's really, I think, how most of my stuff works too. Whenever I go to the store or something like that, that I try and look at that. Maybe if the art looks a little questionable, then I'll read the synopsis on the back. But most of the
Mhm.
time, it's the cover art that really gets me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, the cover art, and like you said, the synopsis sometimes will kind of be like that kind of 1-2 punch to okay, I'll at least give it one volume read.
Which
Yeah.
do you ever have, like, is there a series that you haven't tried because maybe there's too many people talking about it and you're like, I don't want to get into this right now, it might be a really good series, but I don't want to
Hmm.
try it out because there's too many people talking about it.
Not at least not that I can immediately think of, because for the most part, for me, it's kind of when I see like a lot of people talking about something, you know, it. I guess the kind of way I approach that is like, the what's the old saying, where there's smoke, there's fire type
Right.
of thing of like, okay, maybe this isn't the greatest thing, but there's gotta be something there,
Yeah.
if people are talking about it. So, even if I might not immediately pick it up or whatever, I'll at least kind of like do like the top level, you know, research into it. Like, okay, what is this about? How long is it? Is it like a new thing? Has it been going for a while? Is it finished, ongoing? so on and so forth. But yeah, but at worst, I have like a ever growing list in my phone of different manga, whether it be something that I see somebody online talking about, or if I'm in the store and like we all just say, okay, hey, the title looks interesting or the synopsis. I might not pick this up now, but I'm gonna add it to my list of okay, potential stuff of okay, maybe sometime down the line I'll circle back around and give this thing a shot. So but yeah, that's kind of where I am with that stuff.
Cool.
Mm.
So getting back into your podcast, do you have any
Mhm.
goals you want to accomplish for 2022 with your podcast?
Yeah, a few for me is to kind of I guess to keep on having more guests on the show, because I have I have a list of some stuff that I know for sure is going to happen. It's just a matter of coordinating schedules and stuff, whatever. And then I also have like a list of like, okay, I've reached out to some people as far as like, hey, I don't know when or for what situation, but would you be interested to be on the podcast? And kind of just at least just getting just that initial yes, then it's like, okay, I have your name down. And it might be a thing of like, okay, I know this person is really big into this series. Maybe I haven't read it or watched it yet, but I know when I get to it, if I want to have somebody on to have a discussion about it, then oh yeah, this person said that they would like to be on the podcast at some point. Okay, I just caught up on whatever series, reaching out to them and stuff then. So that's kind of how that's like one goal for me. Like I said, for sure, it's just kind of to continue to network and collaborate with people and stuff. I guess, just I guess another thing is just to kind of, continue to not be afraid to shoot my shot or to think that it's too early or too soon for me to do certain things, because like I said, like the whole thing, like with when I started, but like, oh, it's gonna take a year or whatever before I'm even a guest on somebody's show. Where sometimes it's just as simple as just like sometimes just asking. So yeah, so that's definitely just kind of like a couple of main things for me is just continue to network, collaborate, and not being afraid, or not being afraid that it is too soon or too early for me to do certain things, because I have some stuff I've kind of been working on recently, putting together, that I'm like, once again, that little doubt, like maybe this needs to wait, but then it's like, why wait? Pull the trigger on it now, or at least get it the early parts of it kind of like figured out and together, and then if it might not work out now, that's fine. At least you kind of have like that foundation built and set up. And I'm trying to think, aside from that, it just continue to reach more people, get more subscribers on the YouTube and all that stuff, because even though it's not like a super like primary goal, it'll be a nice added bonus if along the way I was able to earn a few extra coins, maybe on the side or whatever, from doing all this stuff as a nice little bonus. So that's for me, the way I kind of look at it is like, even though the primary goal might not be to make money, but I also know, you know, uh, as I say sometimes, mama ain't raised no fool. If there is if there's an opportunity to set myself up for that potential goal, then why not do it? Because like example, I early on I went ahead and I got my website and stuff set up for my podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I invested a little bit more money so I could have access to like some more advanced features like SEO and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's one of those things that kind of tie into me being into tech, to where even though I didn't know too much about SEO, and I'm definitely not saying I'm no expert now,
Mm-hmm.
but
Right.
me kind of having my technical background and just the way my mind works, I started implementing some of those things now. And I feel like that's kind of like helped in some way with
Mm-hmm.
me kind of growing and getting, a little bit more traction on stuff, was just because, okay, hey, I did this thing early just so that I can learn and grow along the way. It's like I don't want to wait till, okay, I've been doing it for a year, now let me do that stuff. It's like, no,
Yeah.
I'll do it early. I might fumble around and stuff, whatever, but I can at least in this year learn, tweak, grow, and all that stuff. And same thing with um opportunities and stuff, because what was it, last year I and this was like a super random thing to where I'm like, I've barely been doing this for 6 months. I am not an expert on podcasting, but
Mm-hmm.
I had a professor from a college up here in Dallas. He reached out to me and asked me to come speak to his class about podcasting.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
UT Arlington.
Wow, that's cool.
And
Yeah.
the first time he reached out, I'm like, you want me to what? Because the first kind of like question mark was like when he followed me on Twitter. Of course, I
Yeah.
definitely don't have no big following, so I can, so everybody that follows me, I can, look on my profile, see what is what. And I
Mm-hmm.
saw something about the college, but then I also saw in his bio that he said, he's a dad and stuff. So I'm like, okay, hey, he's a dad. I'm a dad podcasting, and
Yeah.
I just kind of left it at that.
Yeah.
And then when
maybe he just needs to talk.
yes, exactly. And so when he messaged me about, hey, I teach at the college and yada yada yada, would you like to come and speak? And I'm like, sure. It's kind of one of those play the role type of things of like, well, we'll figure it out. And so it's just been just like little stuff like that along the way that it's kind of,
Uh-huh.
made me want to continue to push, as we start this new year. Is like, okay,
Yeah.
there are opportunities, there are people, for all of us that we don't know who is watching our content, who is
Mm-hmm.
listening,
Yeah.
and so it's like, hey, you got something you want to kind of put out there as far as content wise and do. That's why I tell people, hey, just do it, because I
Yeah.
know sometimes, especially depending on if you're trying to talk about a certain series or whatever. Sometimes you might think like, oh, it's a million people, talking about One Piece, or it's a million people, that have already done a review for
Mm-hmm.
Sweat and Soap or whatever. So nobody else wants to hear what I have to say about it. But no, I still tell people like, no,
Yeah.
go and say what you need to say, do what you want to do, because just because there's several people, other people out there doing it, you are saying things from your perspective.
Yeah.
And who knows, there might be one or two people that find your content that maybe they have never watched, whatever show that, yes, you think everybody's watched Attack on Titan or some other series, but you could be somebody's first introduction to it.
Yeah.
So so I definitely, just say, hey,
Yeah.
don't, just do it.
Yeah. It's
Right.
funny that you say that, because like recently on one of my videos, it was for a
Mhm.
manga. I don't remember what manga it was, but they were like, man, I thought I wanted to be the first one to cover this on YouTube. And I messaged back to him. I was like, well, do it.
Mhm.
Cover it, like it doesn't matter who is first to do what. It doesn't matter how many videos are out there. You know, it's your opinion. Your opinion is probably different than mine. And like, just do it. Like, you know, it doesn't matter like what, like, it's not like a real competition in my opinion, you know?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And you know, and kind of bouncing off of that point, also kind of like, you know, on the same coin, if you don't see nobody else has covered it or whatever,
Yeah.
then do it. Because prime example, Karate Survivor. I know I keep bringing that up, or whatever,
Yeah.
but when I was kind of so typically whenever I'm out and about, you know, looking at stuff, whatever, and I come across a series that I've never even seen or heard about or whatever, I do the research. That is being the research guy has kind of like been like one of my things, because even like in my friend group in college, it was something that I did subconsciously, that it wasn't until somebody pointed it out of like, hey, yeah, every time we're all hanging out and stuff, whatever, and somebody asks a question and nobody knows, Robert's always over in the corner on his phone, researching, looking up the answer or whatever. And it was something, like I said, until somebody pointed it out, I was like, oh yeah, I guess I do that. Well, if I come across a series, I'm like, oh, what is this? I'll search Twitter, YouTube, and a couple other places as far as like, okay, what are people saying about it? You know, what are kind of, you know, maybe like check like a couple of clips of somebody's you know, YouTube review or whatever of it.
Yeah.
Well, when I was looking to Karate Survivor, I found like hardly nothing. I think I found like one other guy, and I think he might have been over in the UK or something or whatever, that had talked about it. But literally, I'm searching through YouTube and literally see nothing.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you can kind of look at it from both sides. You can look at it like, man, okay, nobody's talking about this. Maybe it's not that good. Maybe I shouldn't cover it. Or
Or it's the best thing ever.
yes,
Yeah.
or also there's an opportunity there of like, you know what? Maybe this is a hidden gem that, as crazy as it might seem, with there being millions of people on YouTube and stuff, that the fact that like, hey, nobody has, you know, at least like you know, because I know there's like weird stuff with how search results pop up depending on your country and yada yada yada.
Yeah. Yeah.
But just the fact that like when you search for a series and you don't immediately get like 10 videos pop up on YouTube, you know, it's like, okay, maybe I'll be one of those first 10, you know? And
Yeah.
so that's kind of how I've taken an approach to stuff as well, of like, this thing, you know, don't see many other people have talked about it or whatever. But I'm like, okay, you know what? This is an opportunity for me to kind of grow, get myself out there and talk about it, whether it be this series is freaking awesome, it's a hidden gem, or okay, nobody's talking about it because it sucks.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, but just the fact of getting an opinion out there, your opinion out there, you just never know, you know, what that can lead to down the road. And you know, I kind of, you know, I kind of had that situation again. What was it, last weekend? Because there was a have y'all heard of a series called My Dress Up Darling?
I love that series.
Yes. So you know, the anime just started
Yeah.
last week. I think episode 2 just dropped probably a few minutes ago. Um but with the anime or whatever, I freaking loved that first episode last week.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have the feeling I want to just record a quick little thing talking about, you know, my first impressions or whatever. But you know, I kind of had that moment of doubt of like, well, I'm gonna be recording my podcast in a few days, so I can wait till then, or maybe I don't need to do a separate little thing or whatever. And so I almost didn't do it, but even though I had already made the thumbnail and everything, and so I was like, but then like as I kind of sat around for a few hours, I was like, no, Robert, you are gonna do that. You know, it's something that you feel excited about. Just do it. And I'm glad I did. You know, not only, you know, like I said, not only just, you know, for myself, as far as like I said, just constantly getting over that hump of like, hey, if you want to do it, just freaking do it. But it was also awesome seeing a couple buddies that I follow and stuff, whatever, that watched it and was like, oh, hey, I was thinking about that series, was unsure about it, watched your video on it. I watched it and I loved it. So it's just like simple stuff of like that, of like, you know what? It doesn't matter how many people you think are talking about something or not talking about it or whatever, just do what you want to do for yourself. And then, if somebody else checks it out and also gets put onto a series because of you, that's just an added bonus. But I think it's sometimes just kind of like getting, just kind of, I guess in a way, kind of just like building up that self-confidence of like, hey, you can do this. It's okay to just talk about stuff,
Right.
regardless of any other benefits and stuff. It's just like, hey, sometimes you just need to just vent or
Most
gush
definitely.
about a series.
And like I've been doing YouTube for about, I want to say like, I think like 4 years now.
Mhm.
And like you never know, like a video might not pop off and be like get a bunch of views at when you first release it, and then like down the road, like a year or two later, you'll be like, what happened? I just got 11,000 views for whatever reason, and
Yeah.
you just never know. Like I feel like some content creators only really care about the views
Yep.
and the
Right.
clicks, and I'm like, well, if it didn't, if it got 100 clicks, that's 100 people who watched it,
Yeah.
Right. Well, let me just bring this up. I still think it's funny, the our episode for Kakarimbo.
Oh yeah.
If you go back and listen to that one, like Mike hated watching that with a passion. But one of the things that we were both like-minded in was to watch other people that had put it out. There were only like 5 videos that even related to it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them were really crappy. Well, Mike, says it's one of our main shows. We're going to put it on the YouTube page, everything else, and for us on like Anchor and everywhere else, it didn't grow too fast. But
yeah,
then Mike goes back and checks on YouTube and is like, oh my God, it is like blowing up. I was like, well, because we covered it in a really good capacity. There's not very many other people that have actually covered it or anything else like that, So here's this, and it's like, maybe there are some more things that we should cover that are just kind of crappy that are out there. So it was pretty funny.
Yeah, it's and a lot of times with stuff as well, sometimes it's just like, hey, just put it out there, and then like y'all said, sometimes it's just a matter of time of like, hey, the views, the listens, whatever, they will come in due time, because there's somebody she's a fairly new and younger podcaster, but she had made a post about some a recent episode of hers or whatever hadn't really gotten too much traction or whatever.
Yeah.
But I told her, I was like, hey, don't worry about it. They will come with due time, because I told her, and of course, a lot of times, a lot of stuff, you can kind of give better perspective, especially if you've gone through something yourself. And I had brought up, I was like, there was an episode that I did, middle of last summer or whatever, that like when I looked at, the numbers compared to before and even some stuff I put out afterwards, I'm like, man, what happened? I'm like, did I is it the way I titled it or whatever? But I let it go, and then I came back and looked at it, and over time it caught up and got on par with all my other episodes and stuff wise. And same thing with her. She had replied back to her post, maybe like a little bit later, like a week or a couple weeks later or whatever, and she was like, okay. She said, yeah. She said, Rob, you were right. They, the numbers, came. It just, just due time. Because honestly, a lot of times this stuff is so weird. Because like sometimes it's like, is it the algorithm? Is something somewhere lagging behind on reporting numbers and analytics, because sometimes you might look at your numbers before you go to bed or whatever, and then you wake up the next morning and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you had a spike of plus 60 or whatever, and it's like,
Where'd that come from?
What? Who are you people? Where y'all come from? And it's just like don't really know, and it's just like I said, it could just be maybe one platform reported their numbers late, or who knows, know. But yeah, it's primary thing. Hey, just do it.
Yeah.
For the sake of doing it for yourself, and then everything else will come in due time, because I'm pretty sure, like my Dress Up Darling, for example, there's probably people that's been doing videos on the manga for a while. Maybe they didn't get no traction. Well, hey, the anime's out, is getting more attention. Now people are going back and buying the manga and now looking up videos for YouTube. So now, just domino effect. It might have taken some months or some years, but hey, it's all an ever growing cycle of a movie's coming out, a new anime season, whatever. So people are going to be searching for it, and boom.
Yeah, no, most definitely. What was the name of that podcast that the lady did?
Oh yeah, it's Nerding Out with Chelsea.
Oh, I'll have to check that out. I'm gonna write that down and check that out.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome. She's been doing, I think she's done maybe like maybe a handful of episodes at this point. But one thing I admire about her, as well as another podcast, I think y'all might know this one, Anime Gensho.
No.
So Anime Gensho, or that's his name, but I think his podcast is also underneath Anime Gensho. So anime underscore GENSHIO. But both of them are in high school. So Anime Gensho, he is a senior finishing up high school, but he's been doing it. He's been podcasting for like a couple years at this point. And Chelsea from Nerding Out with Chelsea, she's 16. And so
I actually just found the podcast and I'm subscribing right now.
Yeah, and it's just like, I admire that so much, because it's like,
I'm gonna have to listen to this later. This looks like a fun podcast.
Yeah, and it's like you just never know with, or I should say, this community is so awesome, because it's such a wide range of people of ages and genders, and solo hosts, people on groups of solos, triples, duos, whatever. And for me, being in my 30s, and then meeting her or whatever, who is 16, still in high school, and so hearing her talk about different series and stuff, and like what some of her first series are, compared to our first series, versus compared to what's her name, somebody else I also met recently, hopefully I pronounce her name right, Jessamine. She does a Epic Manga Book Club podcast.
Yes,
she's a few years older than me. She's later 30s, but she's just getting into podcasting and stuff, and it's like this is so awesome.
I have to say, she has a knack for podcasting. I've listened to her like the first 3 episodes, and I'm just like, this is just so much fun to listen to.
Yes, definitely. But yeah, it's just such an awesome thing of just seeing, like I said, just this wide range of people, and getting to hear just these different perspectives of like, okay, people our age, okay, oh yeah, I get where you're coming from, because we're same age group, whatever. People a little bit older, okay, I understand. And then the younger generation and stuff. And so it's just been just really awesome, like, so just being in this space and just seeing everybody growing and stuff.
Yeah, no, most definitely with that. Yeah, most definitely. Do you have any more questions, Jen? at all?
No.
Okay. You want to wrap this up? I actually have to go somewhere. Sorry, I have to go to a birthday party.
Sure.
Oh yeah, I understand that.
I have to take my daughter to a birthday party. Sorry to cut it short, but
It's all good.
plug your
How could you?
podcast.
How could you? We could have went another hour.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, that's why there's episode 2s. So
Yeah.
No, we'll definitely have to have you back on. You were so much fun to talk to. I love listening to your podcast.
Watch, Robert's going to use that on his podcast now. If you make an episode 1, usually there's an episode 2 that follows.
Oh yeah. I'll just say, I definitely appreciate both of y'all. Y'all reaching out to me and us finally getting a chance to collaborate and to do this because like you said, it's kind of we've been in touch for a while and orbiting the same circles and stuff, so it's always good to get to come together and collaborate and talk,
right?
But yes,
let me tell you something special real quick. So we actually me and Mike talked about it before of how we are splitting up our episodes into seasons. And so every 50 is going to be one season for us.
You're going to be episode 1 for season 2.
Yay!
Yeah. So wanted to let you know that you were episode 1 and you're our first interview for season 2.
Nice.
Yeah.
And very pleased to have the honor.
If you want to check out Robert's podcast, we will leave links down below in the description. And we will also leave a link in our featured channels on our YouTube channel for Robert's Dad Needs to Talk podcast YouTube as well. So you can check him out there. He's definitely a fun guy to listen to. Especially when his kids come on. Those are the best.
Yes. He probably heard me over here whispering multiple times like, Vash, no.
So it's okay. He's just an extra guest,
Hey, I'm just waiting for you to throw other Trigun references in and be like, don't make me find knives on you, okay?
Go get some donuts.
Oh man, he loves him some donuts too.
It's all about love and peace.
I'll call the gung ho guns on you, okay?
Yeah, he matter of fact, he's right here giggling. little goofy boy.
Yeah.
But yeah. Thank you for having me on. Like I said, I know y'all have all the links and stuff in the in the description. But yeah, check me out. Like I said, if you want to hear random stories and adventures of what me and my kids and family are getting up to what random manga I'm coming across and anime I'm watching and video games I'm playing, check me out.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm one of your listeners. I subscribe. So everybody else should go subscribe on all the podcast platforms.
And YouTube.
Subscribe on YouTube.
So, but as always, guys, thanks for listening. And we will catch you next Tuesday. Thanks for listening. Hey, Bash. Yeah.
I know. I'm like he had to get his little sound bite in at the end of the podcast.
Right.